Welcome, guys, to Sharpen Your Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm excited to bring this series of who I see as leaders and entrepreneurs that are taking charge in our community. I've seen them sustain and build and grow, not just during COVID, but that's the reason that they're here and that I've invited them on to this interview with me because I want to know, like, what is it that has given them that grit? What is it that is about their spirit that has, I guess, helped them to not only survive, but to thrive as an entrepreneur and in this world? I truly believe that it takes a special spirit to survive entrepreneurship, if you can say that. So Jerome and I met. He was actually my professor for my visual communications degree, and taught me so much, taught all of us so much. He introduced us to, not just graphic design and the elements to what is a great design, but also what networking is about, what getting involved in the community is about, that it's not just a job. You're not just here to get a paycheck. You're not just here to, put your services out into the world. We're here to serve. And I love this man's heart. So I definitely wanted to bring him on, so that you can hear, what his passion and his purpose is and kind of his journey that he's taken. I love that you tell the story, Jerome, of you've been around since like cut and paste in the design industry. So tell me just a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Well, Jen, let me just say this. Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate that. And thank you for allowing me to be one of your first guest on this journey. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And hopefully I'll make you proud.
Absolutely.
Now, yes, you did talk about something that I do want to reflect on, and that's passion and purpose. So with your permission, and I'm a storyteller. All right, so I love to tell stories. So with your permission, I'd like to talk about passion first. And then time permitting, we could go into purpose, and hopefully we can open it up to some Q&A if anybody has any questions. But let's start with passion. For as a youth, I've always loved to draw. That was something that was, people who knew me knew that that was something that I really had a desire and a passion for. But unfortunately, when I graduated from high school, I actually had no plan. I had no idea what I wanted to do or what was going to happen. It was a very trying time back then. We had a very unpopular war waging, and the draft was in effect. And that cloud kind of hung over your head if you were, 16, 17 years old. You just didn't know what was going to happen. So it just so happened that the year that I graduated, June of 1973, it was that month that the draft ended. And the following month, I turned 18. So there was there's some jubilation. Everybody was excited. Yay, we don't have to go to war. We don't have to, sign up. But the reality set in. It's like, oh, wait a minute. What am I going to do with my life? So basically, there was no money for college. And, my dad was an electrical engineer, and there was a plan. There was a decision, and there was a plan for me. That wasn't my plan. It was a plan that I was going to work with my father. I was going to be a journeyman. I was going to come up the ranks, be a draftsman, and then they would send me to a technical school, and I would learn to be an engineer, and yada, yada, yada. All right, so that started almost immediately because, you know, at home, you know, when mom got up, everybody that has breath in the house got to get up and do something. So I started working with my father immediately, and it was turning out pretty good. I mean, I was making a decent amount of money for an 18-year-old, and it was working out pretty well. But about 7 months later, I got a call from my guidance counselor, and she asked me. She said, you know, she just wanted to find out because they were keeping tabs of those who did not go to college just to make sure, you know, they're okay. So she contacted me and she asked me what I was doing. And I said, well, I was doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, not a heck of a whole lot, but she could tell, she could sense that, you know, yeah, I'm checking off the checkpoints, the check marks, but she could tell that I wasn't really happy. So she said to me, she said, now, because remember, everybody knew that I had this creative side. So she said to me, she said, did you ever consider, you know, a career in the arts? And now you got to understand, my mother was in banking, my father's an engineer, and I'm like,
were they like, here's
how
your
does that work?
and here's your loafers, kind of?
Right. Exactly, how does that work? But
Right?
she said to me, she said, no. She said, listen, she said, look all around you. There is art all around you, from your cereal boxes to your books, to your newspapers, to signage. And I never saw it that way. I was like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. So she said to me, she said, there's a school in New York. At the time, it was a 2-year college at that time called Fashion Institute of Technology, FIT. And she said, did you ever consider, you might want to consider finding out how you can enroll and maybe chart a course in creative, because it was more than just fashion. It was advertising. It was a lot of other things.
Right.
And when she said that, it was amazing. Like, she had no idea where I worked, but the company that I worked for was doing the build out on the electrical side for Fashion Institute. So I was on that campus almost every single day. Now, she didn't know that, but I was there. And at the time, it was, oh my goodness. So at the time, Fashion Institute it just had one building. Now it's got like, I think 6 or 7, but it was all part of that build out. So one day when I was at the site, I said, you know what, I'm going to go to the front office and just find out what does it take to be, to enroll. So I spoke with one of the secretaries. They said, well, you need to fill out the application. And then she said, but you have to submit a portfolio. I said, no problem. I took the application, and when I left, I was like, what is a portfolio? I mean, I had no idea.
I didn't ask. So, like, this just is a testament to your spirit. Like, okay, fine, whatever I've got to do, I'll figure it out. Like, don't know what a portfolio is.
You tell me I need to do this, and I'm like, okay. So when I left, I went to the local art store. I bought one of those large manila folders that had the flap and the string and a little plastic handle, whatever. And then I bought a large sketch pad, and some poster board. And within about a week and a half, I did about 20 sketches. All right, all different kinds of things, just 20 sketches. And then I taped them to the poster board, put it in that envelope because I don't want it to flop around in the envelope. And I brought it down there with my application about a week and a half later after we had that conversation. And she accepted, she took the application. She said, okay, now just put your artwork over with all the others. And then when I looked, I saw rows and rows of these pretty black leather bags with zippers and retractable handles. And some of them had monograms on there. And I was thinking to myself, oh, that's a portfolio. So mine stood out by default.
Yes.
Right? So I just, at that point, I went and I asked them, I said, well, I have a question. How come these look, they look very professional? And she began to explain to me that many of the students who went to Fashion Institute, they actually were graduates of the fashion high school. So what that meant is Fashion Institute was on 27th Street and 7th Avenue. The high school was 3 blocks south on 24th Street and 7th Avenue. So basically, the students who graduated from the high school, they just migrated 3 blocks up to go
Right.
to, so they were already prepped. They were already prepped. And you got to remember this 7th Avenue is also called Fashion Avenue. So in other words, that whole
Oh,
area was,
yeah.
if you lived there, if you worked there, if you went to school there, you knew the high school and the college. So after when I got that little piece of information, I said, "Oh, my goose is cooked," because basically these folks they know what to expect. I had no idea. So anyway, but listen, I did what I was asked to do. I did it, and I went on about my life. 2.5 weeks later, I got a letter from Fashion Institute, and not only was I accepted, but they offered me a full scholarship and a grant to go to school. And I was like, guess who's going to college? So
Nice.
so basically, you know, that started my 4.5 decade journey, all right, to really living the dream. Because now I was able to do and make money doing the thing that I really enjoyed. Now you might say, well, how did this whole thing tie into passion, whatever? Here's the deal. If that guidance counselor did not call me 7 months after I graduated from high school and just to inquire how I was doing, I don't know where I would be. And when you think about it, my dad was very excited about having me come on board because, see, that was his passion. He ate, drank, slept electricity. All right. That wasn't for the kid. But my thinking was, well, you know what? Father, son, I will, do what, but that was his passion. My
Oh, yeah.
passion was something completely different. Okay, you just watched the first installment of my interview with Jenn on December 16th that I called Passion. And if you like that one, I'm in the process of editing down part two, which I've entitled Purpose. So I just wanted to thank you guys for watching this one, and hopefully you want to watch the second one. Again, the second one will be entitled Purpose, and it will be coming shortly. Stay tuned. Take care.